Okay, so this plane had no radios. It was made of cloth. Oh my god, it's almost like flying a paper airplane. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about my experience flying a plane from the 1946. 1946 is 1 year before India got its independence. It is before my grandparents were born, probably before my great-grandparents were born or when they were kids. It was made right after World War II and when the United Nations had its first meeting. And when people dressed like this, and when televisions looked like this, when everything was in black and white. In short, this plane is old. So today's video is about my experience flying an Aeronca Champ from the 1946. From a distance, the plane looked absolutely normal. It was a tailwheel plane. I have never flown a tailwheel plane before, so this was something new and I was looking forward to it. But as I got closer to the plane, I started looking at the skin of the plane and something didn't look the same. As I neared the elevator and touched it, I knew what was happening here. So I turned to my instructor and asked him, "What is this made of?" And in my head I was just like, "Don't say fabric, please don't say fabric." And he said, "Cloth." What did you expect? I don't know, carbon fiber. Okay, let's talk about the main differences in the Champ and Cessna 172, the plane that I usually fly. Here is the structure of the Cessna 172. This is what it looks like, and it is pretty sturdy and strong. It has aluminum skin and inside it has aluminum too. On the other hand, most Champs were built with wooden spars and had fabric skin. So the first thought that came to my mind when I heard this plane is made of cloth. It's almost like flying a paper plane. It's made of cloth. How can you expect it to be strong and sturdy? And after I flew it, I understood exactly how sturdy it was. Okay, on the interior of this plane, first things first, this plane had no radio. I need to remind you, I've never flown a tailwheel plane before, so I was like, no radio, and how are we going to do this? But luckily we are not living in 1946 and we are living in 2020 right now, so we bought this box where we both connected our headsets and we could listen to each other only. Usually to get into a controlled airspace you need to have a radio, and some airports, like the busy ones, the Bravos, need clearance too, so all of this is not possible. That being said, my next concern was the seat placement. Now that there is no radio, you might be thinking, okay, just look at your instructor and talk to each other, communicate that way and do your thing. The seats are placed in such a way that the student sits in front and the instructor sits behind you. So there is no way you can turn around and look at your instructor because you'll be flying the plane. Here's a clip of me getting into the plane in style and hitting my head. Back in the time when planes like this were in fashion, the instructors held the back of your t-shirt and moved it left or right or whatever they wanted you to do. They would communicate through the back of your shirt. That is why after first solo there is this tradition where they cut off the back of your shirt because you don't need it anymore, because you don't need your instructor sitting behind you and pulling your shirt to tell you what to do, because you are capable of doing it yourself. And that's how the tradition came. Okay. After the seat and the radio blew my mind, the next thing I noticed, well, this was the first thing I noticed honestly, was the instruments. The instrument panel was empty. It had 4 dials there. It had 4 instruments there. And I was in shock. So we, in general aviation, have 6 basic instruments. basic, 6 of them, and this one had 4 total. So this is how a Cessna 172 cockpit looks, the older version, and this is how the Champ's cockpit looked. It was a lot different, and this is how the newer glass cockpits look for the Cessna 172, and you cannot compare the two obviously, so we'll just stick to the older version here. Anyway, so there were these 4 instruments, and I'm not sure if they worked either, so I decided to go with my gut and fly the plane visually. That's how these planes were meant to fly anyway, so that's what we were going to do today. On the side we did have the throttle, so we could move it front or back depending on how much gas you wanted to give it. It however did not have a mixture lever, so just the throttle for us. Next up, it did not have an electric starter. There was no starter, so you had to hand prop it, and that's how they did it back then. Hand propping before every flight. Think about how dangerous that was. Oh, and I almost forgot, this plane had no flaps. So every landing was a no flap landing. After we were all set with the pre-flight and getting some gas, I noticed that the seats don't move. I am a tiny person, and reaching the rudder pedals without moving the seats is a little bit difficult for me. So we went and got me a cushion to put behind the seat, and that's all we needed. So we were ready to go. And then we went to the run-up area and did some pre-flight, and this is me doing the pre-flight if you like. And we were ready to go. Once we got in the air, we were doing so many things I couldn't film much, but here's a little clip of me flying the plane, so enjoy. Since I was curious about how much this plane could handle since it's made of cloth, so we went ahead and decided to put the plane through some tests to decide just how stable and sturdy it is. We did some stalls, we did some crazy little maneuvers, some barrel rolls, some spins, and I must say I was surprised. I was mind blown by just how sturdy the plane is. I might go out and say that this plane was a lot more sturdy than some of the 150s and 152s that have flown. And that is all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and comment down below if you would be interested in flying a plane that is so old, that is older than your grandparents. And subscribe to my channel for all the new and upcoming content which will blow your mind. Thank you again for being here to watch this video. Signing off, LightninGirl. Bye!